Hey traders, it is Thursday, September 17th. It's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks for joining us for another market update. In today's video, we're going to discuss several different topics. I'll bring up the schedule here. We're going to talk about some news and events, the economic data that we got from today. We'll talk about the quadruple witching that we have tomorrow. We'll do some trade reviews and some reviews and overviews of the indices and some individual stock analysis. And then we'll close with a summary. So before we dive into the content, just make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like this perspective on stocks and crypto, and consider ticking the little bell. You'll be notified on any future updates. So diving right into it, news and events. So we had the economic calendar data today from the US. So the actual jobs numbers came in. The initial jobless claims was projected to hit 850K, and it came in at 860, so that was a slight miss. We saw here that we beat on the continuing jobless claims. It came in just under 13K, which was expected, and you can see that we actually had some nat gas build up. So we'll cover UNG here in a moment. And we also saw that real estate and housing starts were down. So the XLRE, the real estate ETF index, was down today, and that's the bubble we're in right now, guys. Is the stock bubble, the tech bubble, and the housing bubble. So we'll have to see. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see if that trend has any confluence to it, and if it continues in that direction. So first, that was first on the list. So second, I want to talk about quadruple witching. So we have index futures and options, which expire tomorrow, stock futures and options, which expire tomorrow. So I think there was a lot of motivation for them to pin SPY today. And I think that's why we closed at 335, because if you look at the option chain, you'd see that there was a lot of activity for the 340 level and the 330 level. So they were trying to keep it in the middle. And that's what I think is going to happen. And then we'll get a real move tomorrow or Monday. So we'll have to wait and check back in the morning and see how the market opens up. But we had a gap down this morning, huge gap down. So we'll take a look at SPY. So SPY was looking to do the gap, was looking for a gap fill. We didn't quite get there. Into the end of the day, we did see some bull volume. The high of the day, we got to 337.68, but we didn't quite fill that gap. And one thing I want to highlight, I think I had it drawn on another chart actually, is the SPY weekly. We could be looking at a potential weekly bear flag here if this plays out. So if we aren't able to break over 343.06, daily bear flag, or sorry, weekly bear flag is definitely still intact. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. I've noticed that the daily chart, you can see we are forming a bit of a head and shoulders here. So that could line up nicely with a weekly bear flag. It's all about 331 in my opinion. So most important resistance right now on SPY is 331. We're holding the 50-day moving average. That's what we pinned at today. So yesterday I had some shorts going into today. I had a little bit of cash. I also had some MJ that I mentioned in yesterday's daily market recap. You can check that out. But essentially I was expecting more downside and we got it. And I had a month maker to start the day. I had an absolute fantastic day. And I think I showed this to you guys before, but if you take a look, here's my performance. I didn't trade in Q1 because I was in India for a month and market was at all-time highs. I just wasn't comfortable trading, but you can see here that in two of my accounts, I'm averaging about 27%. And can't wait to show you guys my Q3 results once those are updated. But as you can see, SPY holding the 50, still holding that. We did dip below the moving average, the 10 weekly moving average period. And the MACD is slowly starting to cross here. And I highlighted this multiple times now that Amazon started to see, and we broke 3,000 today. We did close above 3,000, but we're starting to see this, especially on QQQ. QQQ, you can see that we closed below the 10-week moving average, and we're trending down. So I swung mostly cash. I still have some MJ positions, and I'm short SQQQ. I'm short QQQ with SQQQ, and I'm short SPY with SPXS, and I'm holding about half cash right now. So Not 100% sure on the direction tomorrow. I am leaning down though. If we can start to see this head and shoulders confirm on SPY, that would give us the confidence that that we're heading down. 331. If we lose 331, we're in a weekly downtrend. We're in a daily downtrend, so that's going to be notable. And like I said, the measured move off the head and shoulders here brings us down to 319, and that daily bear flag measured move would bring us down to about 319, and that's our last weekly higher low support. So definitely looking to buy the dip in that area if we do get there. I'll bring up Apple chart in a little bit here, but I do want to show the gap to fill on that. Let me know in the comments below if you're looking at any individual tickers. If you want any analysis done, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get to those over the next couple of days. And again, I've highlighted this trend a lot of times, that SPY is just slow grinding up and then flush. We see these huge flushes and they just come out of nowhere. We see that we set about a 5-minute higher low, 4 or 5 minute higher lows, and then just flush down without even really hitting a lower high. We had a little one there. We had a bear flag on the 5-minute, and then a slow grind up flush. And then here we're kind of seeing a little bit more increased volatility going into the end of the day. I think that's because they were motivated to pin it at 335, and we'll see if we get a gap down tomorrow. We'll see. It's going to depend a lot on the dollar as well, which I'll bring up in a second, but let's see if we get that flush down. That's been a common theme over the last several days and weeks, where we slow grind up and we flush down. What were we seeing before in the bull trend? We were seeing V-shaped recovery. So anytime we got knocked down, it was just a straight V-shape. And now we did sort of have a V-shape here, but we had 5-minute higher lows and higher highs. But again, the bears just keep sucker punching them and definitely have the momentum in the short term. And taking a look at DXY, so most important short term. So on SPY, most important support right now is, in my opinion, is 331. If we lose 331, then we're looking down at 319, 321. And if we start to bounce, then most important is 343.06, I believe, 343.06. Yep. So if we can get over that, that's the most important short-term resistance. 331 is the most important short-term support. And then after that, we're looking down to around the 319 area. And that's where I'd potentially like to buy the dip, see the real bounce, maybe set a weekly higher low. And then that's where we get the real move down. And we could potentially see a long-term, prolonged downtrend. This is lining up well with the election. And I said this many times, but all the signs of the charts are starting to point to a Biden win. Again, not trying to predict the future, but all the charts are very, very bearish. They're predicting we got about 4 or 5 weeks until the election. This could play out. We dip for another week or two, we bounce for a week or two, and then the real move. So to look a little something like this, just to kind of give you some perspective, maybe we dip like this, and then we rock it up, and then the real move comes down. And then maybe into October, November, that's when, that's going to line up perfectly with the November 2nd election. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if I'm right. But again, I'm not trying to pretend like I have a crystal ball. I'm just looking at the most likely scenario, what the charts are saying. And right now the charts are sending me the signals that we're still expecting some downside. Next, we'll take a look at QQQ. I just want to make sure I'm staying on track here. So we had SPY. I'll do the trade reviews here in a second, but we had QQQ. I want to highlight a couple things on QQQ as well. So the daily candle, you can see we finished with an upper wick. Bulls did manage to save it. Taking a look at QQQ here, we did lose the 50, so that's a cause for concern. We have the 100-day at 253, and we're in a daily downtrend. We lost the low, so the low here of 266.90. Today we hit 266.68, so we're starting to see a lot of weakness, a lower high and lower low. QQQ daily downtrend. We didn't actually break the high of the previous week either, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But the bulls are holding EMA 12 support at 267. So most important short-term support on QQQ, in my opinion, is 264.63, and we'll look to break 282.20 as the most important resistance. So support down here at 264.63. Taking a look at QQQ as well into the end of the day, you can see here that we were looking to form a higher low. We're looking to change the hourly trend. And we didn't quite get that going into the end of the day, but we did see some 5-minute momentum going into the end of the day as well. So again, keeping an eye on QQQ because there is a lot of weakness, and we also closed below the 50-day moving average. That is a very big cause for concern in my opinion. And next we'll move on to, I'll just highlight the other indices real quick. So we saw that XBI was very strong today to start the day. We saw inside bar, so we'll look to see which way this breaks. Most important resistance of 116.64 and the low of 113.11. XLE, the energy sector, closed near the high of the day, also very, very strong today. There was the two leading sectors. SMH was also a leader. You see it closed near the high of the day. But taking a look at XLE, we also have a daily inside bar, so most important resistance, the low of today, which was 33.07, and we'll look to break the high of 34.38. And looking to, we haven't confirmed a daily uptrend yet on XLE, and actually taking a look at US oil, I was a little skeptical here. So once we broke out of that daily rising wedge, we had an inside bar, we broke bull, and I was expecting a top out around this level here, which was the 41.5, and we got to, I think we double top there toward the end of the day. Yeah, so we had 420, 419 double top, pulled back. That's lined up with one of my trades as well. But taking a look at oil into the end of the day, just basically going sideways. And we did form a little bit of a 5-minute uptrend there. So we are continuing that pattern of a 5-minute uptrend into the end of our trading day here. Bitcoin up around 11,000. Also saw some weakness today, but held EMA 12 support. So most, like I said, we're just looking at the overall market SPY, and QQQ, BTC has been extremely correlated to the overall market. And taking a look at UNG, so I told some members, I told some friends that we had a head and shoulders, broke bear, then we had a bear flag that confirmed, and we also have a gap down here at the 1049. So gap to fill. The low of this here from the gap up was 1228. Today we hit a low, the low of that was 1128. We hit a low of today of 1128. So I entered UNG off of that double bottom, and I set my stop at 1127. And I actually entered, I think I filled around the 11.31, and I ended up selling at 11.63. So I had a solid move, looking for the hourly oversold bounce on UNG. So I entered at 1331, and like I said, I sold at 1663. So I made about 2-3%. And right now I'm very conservative right now with my longs because of how bearish the market is right now. So trend is your friend. And like I said, I'm going with the trend. I'm very aggressive on the way down, and I'm very, very picky with my longs. I'm in and out usually just after a 2-3% for a day maker or a week maker, and then I'm out. But taking a look at UNG, just possibly forming a higher low to change the hourly trend, and we'll have to keep an eye on this as well because we could potentially fill this gap. So just be cautious of that. We do have the next most important support down here at 1015. So ideally, bulls would like to get there as quick get there as close to there as we can for any bull entries. And congrats to the bulls who did play the oversold bounce on UNG today. So taking a look at, I do want to mention, so again, another reason why I think that they were pinned and motivated to keep this at 335 was because tomorrow's quadruple witching. VIX was cheap. So if we take a look at VIX on the daily, we saw the daily bounce underway and potentially just them loading up. So burning the calls at 340, burning the puts at 330, and potentially loading up on cheap VIX to get the insurance and then collect the premium and then torch this thing right into tomorrow or Monday. We'll have to see, but I'm definitely leaning bearish. You can follow me on that narrative as well. If you'd like, consider subscribing. You'll know my perspective going into tomorrow and on Monday on what I think. So next on the list, like I said, the dollar had some inverse head and shoulders that it's forming here. It tried to break that bull today, and we saw some 5-minute bearish RSI. Well, we have the bullish daily RSI as well. So there's some divergence here. The trend line that's trending up here on the RSI, and the price was trending down. We're trending up. Possible inverse head and shoulders. Most important support right now is 92.70, but essentially we could go all the way down to the 92.20 level and still keep that right shoulder intact. So could potentially see some downside, but again, 92.70 most important support. Then we'll look to 19.20. Seeing if there's anything else. Gold. You can see we had pulled back with the rest of the market today, so everything very correlated to one another. US oil, we already did that one. So XLF closed with an upper wick, broke the low of yesterday. XLRE, like I said, housing starts miss, and we saw a huge drop in XLRE of 2.58%, down 2.21% on the day. Healthcare sector closed with a little bit of an indecision candle here and broke the low of yesterday. No support until most important level, I would say, is 103.67. So moving on to some trade reviews to see if I can remember all of these trade reviews. So I had SPXS, SQQQ, and FNGD going in from yesterday. So I closed those right at the open today. So I entered yesterday. I actually sold half my position at the end of the day yesterday, but I did see that we closed weak. We were in a 5-minute downtrend, and I was also looking for a potential hourly bear flag, which we got, and huge gap down. Like I said, month maker on those, so I closed those to begin the day, and we saw that. Again, I was just expecting a slow grind up and then a flush. So I sold when we got to, it was about 336, I believe, right around here. So yeah, it was around the 336, top of the 336. I didn't think we were going to quite go and fill the gap. And QQQ wasn't very strong today. Like I said, all sectors weren't really trending in the same direction. And I knew to expect that slow grind up and a flush. And I went short here, went back into SQQQ and SPXS and covered when we didn't break the low of 332.80, and 333 was also the 50-day moving average. So I closed when we got there, and I was planning to rebuy if we broke 332.80. Then slow grind up, you guessed it, flush down, and in about 5 candles. So I actually went long Tesla here, and that was at 16.25 UTC, and then I went long Tesla at 16.25 UTC, which is right around here, and I actually entered around the 420, entered at 420 here, 419 I think it was on that 5-minute higher low, and I ended up selling at 430. Yeah, it was 4:30. I think I'm mixing that up actually. So I sold, no, it was at the beginning of the day. I sold, and I should have brought up my activity history for you guys, but for the sake of time, I sold SPXS, covered my shorts into the beginning of the day. I bought Tesla at 419, right around here, when we had an inside bar. I broke that when we had the inside bar break bull. That's what it was. I filled at 420. We hit a high of 437, I believe. Yeah, 437. I sold at 435 on this rebalance here, and I noticed that oil was probably starting to top out, and it was getting a little extreme. And then that's when I exited Tesla. Like I said, just taking a quick gain on the longs, going super aggressive to the downside. Like I said, I held shorts overnight last night because trend is your friend, and away we go. And there's been a lot of growing uncertainty, as the title of the video suggests. And like I said, just starting to see that 5-minute downtrend and playing very conservative, just looking for quick flips on the way up and being more aggressive on the way down. So I also had a trade review of UNG, which I did. So like I said, I entered UNG off that play. Let me just bring it up here again. So I saw the strength in oil. I saw the strength in XLE, and I knew that we double bottomed here at 1130. And we also had prior, from the gap up there that we had a few weeks back, you could see that the low was 1128. Today, low was 1128, and we double bottomed at 1130. And so I entered at 1131 looking for the hourly bounce. So once we had that confirmed 5-minute uptrend, I knew that the hourly bounce was likely underway. Zoomed out, you can see we broke the high of the previous candle. And like I said, I was just in it for a quick flip. That was my trades today. And then I took another short on SPXS and SQQQ going into the end of the day, holding about half cash and some marijuana positions. But one thing I wanted to share with you guys here really quickly is the Hexo chart. So the Hexo chart, I took a position, so we're holding this uptrend here, and we closed at the high of the day at 76, which is a great sign for the bulls. And given the market weakness, we didn't see any weakness really in the stock today at all. And I also picked up some Canopy, and some news for you folks. I heard from my local dispensary that Canopy is going to be coming out with the new drinks, so the CBD waters and stuff, next month. So you can expect to see the cucumber and mint, the lime and ginger. I think there's about 6 of them, but I'll definitely be doing a video on that for those reviews once they come out. But you can see here as well, sort of forming a daily inverse head and shoulders on CGC, and looks like the daily inverse head and shoulders on Hexo as well, breaking bull. Most important resistance, 83 cents. Most important support, I would say the low of today, which was 72. And that'll also keep the uptrend line as well. So like I said, market's starting to point to a potential Biden win. Why are we seeing Canadian MJ? I think Canadian MJ might run next. We didn't see very much in US MJ, but we did see some news that Trulieve was offering some shares. So they were diluting at 24 cents or $24.50, I think it was. So as you can see, we were hurt by that, and we hit a low today of 25. So could the bottom be in potentially? We'll have to wait and see. But I expect that if Biden does win, obviously US MJ is going to benefit a lot more than Canadian MJ. But something that I wanted to note for you folks, that we are seeing some bullish momentum in MJ while the rest of the market is consolidating. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with the strength in XLF. You can see here we're also forming a bit of a falling wedge. So we'll keep an eye on that pattern, and we saved it there today. So again, super interesting to see if this theme plays out. That's my plan, is if we get a major correction in the market, is to switch long MJ and hope for a Biden victory and an MJ victory and a SPY loss. I think that's pretty much it for you guys today. I was going to do some individual stock analysis, but for the sake of this video, I'll just go through them really, really quickly here. So Apple, you can see here we held the low of the day. We have the potential, so we are in a daily downtrend. And like I said, we were crossing here on the EMAs bearish, and we could potentially fill this gap down here at the, well, it's at the 96 level, 96.30. And that's, we do have some support here at 89, I believe. Yep, 89 support. We have gap fill at 96. What I could see happening is these EMAs crossing, us fall down to the $100 mark, maybe stop loss hunt, fill the gap at 96. We also have prior resistance of all-time high resistance, which should act as support at $99. So like I said, we could drop another potential 10, 15%. And if we get to that 96 and gap fill or closer to 96 or 89, I'll plan to scale in with 3 orders. So I'll look to buy one at 100, I'll look to buy one at 95, 96, and I'll look to buy again at 90. That's my plan with Apple. You can follow me on that if you'd like, but tune in for any updates. Tesla could potentially be a daily bull flag, held support on EMA 12, so that's a good sign for the bulls. A little bit of a upper wick compared to lower, so bears had a little bit more momentum there for the day, and we did close with a lower high and lower low, so we are in an hourly downtrend. Keep in mind that Tuesday's battery day next week, and they did get an upgrade. But taking a look at Amazon, so Amazon did lose 300 today, or sorry, 3,000 today. Very, very weak, but it did reclaim it going into the end of the day. But as you can see, just a bit of a falling wedge here as well, breaking, but not looking good. Not looking good at all. Hourly downtrend. Actually, we did form a little bit of a higher low and higher high into the end of the day. So we are in an hourly uptrend. Taking a look at the daily downtrend, very notable. So do you want to be in when the big boys are unloading and getting out, or do you want to be getting out when the big boys? I think the big boys are starting to get out, guys, and now's the time where you might need to reassess your portfolio and think seriously about what's going to happen over the next couple of days and weeks. Don't get complacent. MKLA closed the day at 33.83, so basically just went flat. Daily inside bar. Most important resistance will be tomorrow will be 34.86, and most important support 32.50. Decreasing bull volume. Decreasing volume in general. Oracle. So Oracle saw a little bit of a indecision candle there. We're back inside the daily Bollinger Bands, still outside on the weekly, still outside on the monthly. Taking a look at the hourly, we did form a higher low and higher high, so we are in an hourly uptrend. And you can see we're up big after hours, up about 1%. And a 5-minute uptrend into the end of the day. So bulls liking the TikTok news. Taking a look at Snow. So Snowflake, which is the cloud provider that Berkshire, I heard that Warren Buffett made like $800 million on the first day of trading. Profit on this name, not surprising considering he trades with billions of dollars. But as you can see, we were down over 10% today. And this is why you need to be careful with volatility in these, like look at that upper wick daily, that is some crazy volatility, 35%, and then down 35%, 32%. So keeping an eye, there's going to be a lot of hype in this name for a while. We don't really have much price history to go off of, but most important support right now would be 221.32, and most important resistance, we did have a little bit of a daily inside, or sorry, hourly inside bear break, but no follow through with a lower wick. So we'll look to break above the 241 level. Bulls would like to form an hourly higher low and higher high to change the hourly trend. Taking a look at the 5-minute, we did form a 5-minute higher low and higher high with the EMAs holding and looking to potentially cross bull. So that's all we have for the individual tickers. So again, summary, we have quad witching tomorrow. I think that's why they pinned it at 335. Also, potentially that they were loading up on cheap VIX. And keep in mind that tomorrow is also the dividend for SPY. So you'll want to use SPXX as the guide, and it won't actually factor in that dividend. So you want to use SPX going into tomorrow. Let me know in the comments below if you are bearish, if you're bullish, what names you're looking at going into tomorrow, and where you think we're going in the next few weeks. If you have a bearish lean like me, love to hear from you, and consider subscribing. Tick the little bell to be notified on any future update. You can see me tomorrow for another daily market recap at the end of the day. Again, it's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks so much for joining us today, and best of luck for the rest of the week.